Our intended learning outcomes for today's lecture is to first determine the miscellaneous design checks. As I've said, we are only, from our last discussion, we only design in terms of lecture. But for a beam design, there's still some other miscellaneous design checks that we need to accomplish, or we need to satisfy. So that is our first intended learning outcomes. Next one is to describe various failure modes in shear. So we're going to talk about shear. Next one is to identify pertinent NECP 2015 provision. As usual, we're going to refer to NECP 2015 on analysis and design of shear of beam shear. So explain the importance of serviceability and deflection check. We're going to talk about serviceability and deflection. And lastly, we're going to talk about how to design. This is a very important topic. We're going to talk about how to design a purlin. How to design the purlin in a simple house, or basically yung nilalagay po natin, roof purlin. So since most of you will be designing a simple house, so kung nag-design po kayo ng bahay, kailangan nyo po ng design ng purlin, no? So let's talk about shear in beams. So when a member is actually subjected in the bending, kapag po nagkaroon tayo ng bending stress, the longitudinal fiber of the beam actually experience shear stress. So what do I mean by that? So if we're going to imagine the bending of the beam, so from this straight beam, it will bend downward. Tama po ba? It will bend downward. Then if we are going to look into the fiber of each beam, this beam is actually having a shear on top. We have a compression at the top and tension at the bottom, right? Compression at the top, tension at the bottom. So if we're going to imagine, if we're going to get a fiber in our beam, if we're going to enlarge one fiber, what we are going to see is that our beam is trying to rotate. Yung fiber po ng beam nag-rotate. So for example, this one and this one. So since your beam is actually bending downward, the fibers of the beam the longitudinal fibers is trying to rotate. Nagkakaroon po tayong tinatawag na shear deflection. So what is actually a shear deflection? Coming from a straight fiber, so for example, imagine nyo po, kuha ka ng square dun sa side ng beam. Kuha ka lang ng square dun. What's happening is that due to bending, it is trying to rotate. Nagkakaroon po tayo ng coming from your rest condition, coming from rest. Ang tendency niya is to go like this one. It's trying to rotate. It's trying to shear off. So maybe you can recall in Mech 32 or in mechanics of material, not Mech 32. If you can recall in mechanics of material, that shearing is actually the deflection. Ang shearing strain is actually the parallel deformation. Tama po ba? Ang shearing strain is parallel deformation. Comes from parallel deformation. So it means that your deformation is actually parallel to the application of force. So that yun po yung nangyayari sa shearing. So that is what happened in our fiber. So our fiber, if you get that one little fiber, one square fiber in a longitudinal beam, your beam is actually trying to rotate. The fiber is trying to rotate, which comes shearing. Yun po yung natawag natin na shearing, no? So that is so when your beam is actually subjected to bending, your beam also is subjected to shearing. Subjected din po tayo sa shearing. So as I've said, if you get a one fiber this will be the fiber, and your fiber is actually rotating, want to rotate. You have a horizontal shear and you have a vertical shear. Horizontal shear and vertical shear. So, of course, you know na kapag po meron tayong beam, you can draw the shear diagram, right? You can draw the shear diagram. For example, for that type of beam, this is your shear diagram. Right? This is your shear diagram. So since you know that when you have a beam, you can draw the shear diagram. So coming from the shear diagram, you have a shear force. So if you have a shear force, you have a shearing strain. So ganun lang naman po. Tama? We can relate it to mechanics of materials. So if you have a shearing force, you have a shearing strain. So shear oriented horizontally and vertically are actually equal. So what does it mean? So you have a horizontal shear, this one, horizontal shear, and vertical shear. But as you can see, they are actually equal because they are trying to rotate the member. So this, not the member, a fiber. This is a fiber of the beam. So they are trying to rotate the fiber. So the vertical shear, as you can see, the vertical shear is trying to rotate it clockwise. So coming from vertical shear. And then for horizontal shear, it's trying to rotate it counterclockwise. So in that case, the fiber is in equilibrium. So we need to maintain equilibrium, no? So it's trying to rotate counterclockwise. So in that case, if your vertical shear is trying to rotate it clockwise, horizontal shear is trying to rotate it counterclockwise, all the shear are actually in equilibrium. So they are in equilibrium, so they are equal. So the critical section must be parallel to the plane of symmetry. So what's that mean? It must be parallel to the plane of symmetry. So it must be parallel to the load kasi as I've said nga, shearing strain happens because your force is actually parallel to the section. So kaya ang importante po dito is you know that shearing strain coming from your parallel loading, or shearing force, or the shear that we are going to calculate is actually coming from the parallel loading. So you can imagine that for an I-beam, the location of the maximum stress, if you're going to draw the stress diagram, the maximum stress is at the maximum bending stress is at the extreme fiber, right? Maximum bending stress. However, for shearing, it will be on the on the plane of symmetry. What do I mean by plane of symmetry? So for shearing, do you remember that this is your shearing diagram coming from mechanics of materials? So if that is your shear diagram, your maximum shear happens at the center. Max shear stress. Your maximum shear stress happens at the plane of symmetry, at the neutral axis. So again, your maximum shearing stress happens at the neutral axis. Maximum shear location. Maximum flexure stress at the extreme fiber. Maximum shearing stress at the neutral axis. So horizontal shear will not happen without vertical shear and vice versa because as I explained, they need to be in equilibrium. So yung horizontal shear, horizontal shear and vertical shear, they are maintaining your fiber to be in equilibrium. So our mechanics of materials, according to mechanics of materials, that our formula for shear is actually given as VQ over IB. This is your general formula. Do you remember this formula? Can I have a confirmation? Naalala po ba to? Can you remember this formula? Di ba nung mechanics of materials po, tinuro sa inyo MC over I. Kasabay po ito ng MC over I, di ba? VQ over IB. Hindi nyo maalala? Okay, so anyway, so if you don't remember, let's have a review. Let's have a review in your mechanics of materials. So according to mechanics of materials, simple mechanics lang po, that our general formula for stress, of shearing stress, is actually given as VQ over IB. That is your general formula. And what is V? Basically, coming from the force, this is your shear force. Q, what is your Q? Q is the first moment of area from the neutral axis. First moment about the neutral axis, the area of the cross-section between the point of interest and the top or bottom of the cross-section. So, first moment of area po yan. First moment of area. So, again, that is the first moment about the neutral axis of the area of the cross-section between the point of interest and the top or bottom of the cross-section. So, for example, let's have an example, no? So, for example, you want to determine the shear, let's say, at a distance A from the neutral axis. So what you're going to do is you are going to get this area, the cross section between the point of interest. The point of interest is here, and the top or bottom of the cross section. So this area, you need to take the moment into take that moment into the neutral axis. So magmo-moment ka lang po sa neutral axis. So for example, that will be Q is equal to, let's say this is B. So B multiplied by area, that is D over 2 minus A. So B multiplied by D over 2 minus A, because this will be D over 2 minus A. So that is the shear if I want to determine the shear at point A. That's the point, no? So if I want to determine the shear at point A, this distance is actually D over 2 minus A. Right? So that is the area multiplied by the distance from the neutral, coming from the centroid of this area going to the neutral axis. So that will be, let's say, A plus D over 2 minus A over 2. Sa gitna po nung area nung at the middle of that area. So you just need to take the moment coming from the neutral axis. And I will be the first moment of inertia of the neutral axis. So this one, or the moment of inertia po, this one I, moment of inertia. And B will be your width of the cross section. That's the width of the cross section on the point of consideration. So that is our general formula coming from mechanics of material. So I will elaborate more, dapat kasi review lang to but since you don't remember the VQ over IB, so I will elaborate more, so this is VQ over IB, no? So let's have a simple example. Kuha po tayo ng simple example, no, para maintindihan niyo yung paggamit ng formula. You will also use this sa mechanics sa board exam. So yung mga ganyan pong formula dapat yung inaalala. MC over I and VQ over IB. Those are some of the very important formulas. So let's have a simple example. No? So we have, let's say this is 250 and this is 500. So let's say Vmax or your maximum shear is, let's say, 500. Let's say, ano na lang po, masyado mataas yung 500. Let's say 180 kilonewton. So calculate the stress at, let's say, calculate the stress 100 mm from the neutral axis. So first, calculate the shear stress. (100 mm) from neutral axis. So let's calculate the shear stress coming 100 mm from the neutral axis. So how do you calculate that? Let's calculate FV is equal to VQ over IB. No? So our shear, our maximum shear is equal to, again, this is a review of mechanics of materials. Mechanics of materials po ito. So 180 times 10 raised to 3. So your V, what is Q? Ang Q po natin, we're going to take the moment of area. Let's say this is 500, this is 250. We're going to take the moment of area of this. So if that is 100 mm from the neutral axis, ano po yung natira ditong distance? 250 minus 100, that will be 150. So we have 150 here. So Q will be 150 multiplied by 250, right? This is 100. Then that is the area. Take the moment coming from the neutral axis. What is the distance coming from the centroid of that area coming from the neutral axis? That will be 100 plus 150 over 2. Are we in understanding? Nakuha po? Nakuha po yan? Okay, so again, the mechanics of materials po yan. Then multiply by I. Divided by I. What is your I? Moment of inertia. B H cube over 12. Right? I. Multiply by B, the width. What's the width? 250. So that is how you calculate for shearing stress. What's it? What's the value? So 1.8144 megapascal. So again, this is a review, Review lang, nire-review ko lang po kayo. Number 2, let's calculate the maximum shearing stress. So if that's how we calculate for the shearing stress, where do you think is the position of the maximum shearing stress? Where is the position of the maximum shearing stress? Saan tayo magkakaroon ng pinakamalaking Q? That is at the neutral axis, tama? At the center, so that is correct. If we are actually taking the moment at the center, we're going to get the maximum shearing stress. So let's calculate the maximum shearing stress. That will be at the center. So if this is 500, this is 250. So you need to get the maximum shearing stress. So that will be FB is equal to BQ over IB. So what's our V? 180 times 10 raised to 3 to make it Newton. What's our Q? This will be 250. Kalahati, 250 multiplied by 250 multiplied by the distance from the neutral axis, that will be 250 over 2 divided by I, 250, 500 cube over 12 multiplied by base width 250. So that is your maximum shearing stress. What is your maximum shearing stress? We have 2.16. Di po pwedeng 1.77 kasi mas mababa pa. Dapat mas malaki tayo sa 1.81. No? So we have 2.16. So anyway, that is how you calculate for the maximum shearing stress. Naalala na po ito sa mechanics of materials? Naalala po ba? Are we clear with this formula? No? Are we clear with how we use this formula? Okay. So that is actually the general formula in determining your shearing stress. So that is your shearing stress. So how about for steel? So that is for mechanics of materials. How do we relate it for steel? Anyway, before we move on pala, if your maximum shearing stress is at the center, what do you think is our shearing stress at the extreme fiber? What is our shearing stress at this point? Let's say at the ends. What's our shearing stress at the ends? We have 0. Sir, bakit 0? Kasi sa dulo po, sa dulo, wala na siyang kinakapitan. Wala na siyang i-rotate, no? Kasi yun na yung dulo eh. So wala na magka-counteract. So that's why at the ends, your shearing stress is 0. That is in comparison, kapag kinumpare nyo naman sa flexure stress, ang flexure stress nyo at neutral axis, your flexure is 0. Tama? So kaya nga po, at in a beam, the maximum flexure stress is at the center. The maximum flexure stress is at the ends, but the shearing stress is 0. And on the other hand, the maximum shearing stress is at the center with a corresponding flexure of 0. No? So, ganun po. Okay, so going back to steel design, so how do we relate our formula for VQ over IB in terms of steel design? So if we're going to get the formula for, if we're going to use our formula, VQ over IB, so FV, again, FV is equal to VQ over IB, VQ over IB, and since our common steel member is I-beam for a simple, for beams, we have a W shape or a wide flange shape. If we're going to calculate the shearing stress, it will have a very small stress in the flange area. Shear stress at the flange. And then after having a very small shearing stress at the flange, it will have a large shearing stress at the web. And then it will continue to increase until it reach its maximum stress at the neutral axis. Max stress at neutral axis. And then the same, it will have a symmetrical. So based on our discussion, why do you think at the flange, why is the stress, shear stress is very small at the flange? Bakit po kaya sobrang liit ng stress at the flange? We are going to calculate for the stress. Nasa end po kasi. Pwede. That could be the, but why is this one? Why is there's a big difference between this and this? Nakikita po yung binibilugan ko. This one and this one. Small depth. Pwede. What do you think? Any other idea? Any other idea? Based on our formula, VQ over IB. So let me reveal the answer, no? So at flange part, our shear stress at the flange is calculated as VQ over I base of the flange, BF, because you have BF. Malaki po yung BF mo. Malaki yung BF. But for shear stress of the web, to calculate the stress, that is VQ over I, thickness of the web. So you can imagine, maliit po yung divisor mo, thickness of the web, and you have a large divisor. So of course, you will have a very large difference. So the answer is because you have a small width in the web. Answer is, why do you have a large shearing stress at the web? That is because you have a small width of the web. So thickness of the web, this is T web, no? Thickness of web. Thickness of web. How about sa flange naman po, ang divisor mo is the width of flange. That is why if you calculate for, nakikita po ba, no? So that's why if you calculate for the VQ over IB, you will have a very small stress at the flange and a very large stress at the web. Is that clear? Because of the B. Because of the B. Okay? Because of the B. So if we are going to calculate the capacity, the capacity is coming from the stress. Tama po ba? So I think we now understand that the capacity is coming from the stress multiplied by area. Tama? So if we're going to see this stress part, you can notice that most of the shearing stress is carried by the web. So the shearing stress is mostly carried by the web, and because it has a very large shearing stress in comparison to the flange. Tama po ba? So that is why in steel design, what we did is to get the average stress, because it's a long calculation to get VQ over IB. Ano? It's a long calculation to get VQ over IB. So we get the average stress. How do we calculate the average stress? Ginawa po natin itong rectangle. We make it as a rectangle. We make it as an average. And to get the average shearing stress, we can just use the formula shear divided by the area of the web, assuming that all of your shear will be carried by the web. So shear divided by area of the web. So that is how we get the average shearing stress. Ang tawag po dito is your average shearing stress. Again, how do we calculate average shearing stress? Shear in the web divided by area of the web. So that is by approximation that most of your stress are actually carried by the web. No? How do we calculate for the area of the web? This is the area of the web. Area of the web is basically D times thickness of the web. But take note, ang pinanggalingan lang po ng formula, or where this formula came from, is coming from your general formula, VQ over IB. You just get the average. Kinuha mo lang yung average shearing stress. And the average shearing stress is given as VQ, FB is equal to V over area of the web. FB. Okay, so are we clear with that? That clear? That is because most of your shearing stress is actually carried by your web, no? So, okay. So going into shear of beams, shear is not exactly a problem for steel beams, since significant shear forces can be resisted by the web. So because of the web part, we have a large capacity for shear. So resisted by the webs in rolled shapes. However, very large shear values may be observed when These are some of the example when you have large shear values. If you have large shear value, your member or your beam can fail in shearing. So this is the time when your member can fail in shearing. First is large concentrated force near beam support. So for example, you have here your support, and you have a concentrated load near the support. So it means that you will have a jump in shear. So for imagine nyo na lang po kapag sa simply supported, you have let's say you have a concentrated load at the support. What is your shear diagram? 'Di ba magiging shear diagram nyo ganyan? You have a large shear at the support. Kapag po malapit yung concentrated force mo, if your concentrated force is near the support, you have a large force near the support. Next one, rigid joint connection between beams and columns. What do I mean by rigid joint connection? So rigid joint connection happens when your beam is actually connected rigidly into your column. It means it can transfer moment. It can transfer moment by how? Let's say, for example, this is your column. Let's say that is your column, steel column. Let's say I-beam din po I. So that is your steel column. You want to connect your beam into the column by a rigid connection. Pag sinabi pong rigid connection, you will have your I-beam. You are going to connect your I-beam by connecting the web and the flange. So ang rigid connection is you need to connect the web and the flange. Again, ang ibig sabihin po ng rigid can transfer moment. And how do you create a rigid connection? We are going to talk about this rigid connection on the last topic. Last topic po kasi yung connection. Rigid connection means flange and web are connected. Flange and web are connected. So if you have a rigid connection, most likely you need to check for shear. Next one, notch and cope beam. What are notch and cope beam? Notch and cope beam happens because you are actually connecting your secondary beam into a girder. So kapag ka nagko-connect ka po ng secondary beam, what you are doing in order to connect them at the same level is this one. Let me go to this. Yep, this one. So for example, you have a girder, a main girder, and then you have a secondary beam. If you are connecting a beam to beam, you need the top part to be at the same level. You need the top part to be at the same level because syempre, diyan ka maglalagay ng slab, diyan ka lalakad. So dapat pareha sila ng level. What you're going to do to have a connection, for you to connect the secondary beam into the main girder, you need to notch the beam. Ano po ibig sabihin ng notch? Kinakat mo yung beam. Kinakat mo yung beam in order, or ginagawa mo siya, kinukope mo siya, coping, ang tawag po dyan, coping, in order to connect your beam by bolts. So in that case, this is actually critical for shear. Critical for shear. Is that clear? Na-imagine po kung bakit natin kailangang putulin ng konti yung secondary beam? Okay? This is not a fixed connection. A fixed connection, again, there's a difference between a fixed and a hinge connection. Sa steel design, ang fixed connection is that when the web and the flange are connected. Kapag ka po connected si flange at si web, fixed connection yon. On the other hand, shear connection kapag web-web lang. Kapag web-web lang, shear connection lang. Ayan. So, this is shear connection. No? This is shear connection. On the other hand, this is, yep, that is correct, Hanilin. This is, the one that I showed you earlier, this one, rigid connection, is actually fixed connection. This is fixed connection. So that is a notch and cope beam. So we also have heavily loaded short beams. Kapag po malaki yung load mo, you will also have large shear. Next one, lastly, if you have a very thin webs, because the web will carry your shear. If you have a very thin web, you have a small capacity for shear. So that will also be critical. No? So what do shear failure looks like? So ano po yung itsura ng shear failure? Basically, what you will see is that you will have a yielding. You will have yielding. This is yielding. We already know what is yielding. Ano, na-explain na natin yan ng ilang beses. Yielding is just the deformation. Pag sinabi natin yielding, hindi yun magbe-break. No? Yielding is just, it will have a large deformation. So this is yielding. So that is yielding. On the other hand, it can have local failures. So for local failures, it will have web buckling. When we say web buckling, it will buckle in terms of the web. Parang magbe-bend siya sa we are now familiar with the word buckling, no? We are familiar with the word buckling. When we say buckling, it is a lateral deformation. Nagkakaroon ka ng lateral deformation. On the other hand, when we say web crippling is a very small part of the web will actually undergo deformation, and that is called crippling. This is called crippling. So those are some local failures that could happen in your shear. So this is a shear failure. Ano? This is what happens in shear failure. As you can see, you have a yielding. So why is it diagonal? Why is it diagonal? Because if this is your support, the tendency of the shear or the tendency of the load is to transfer diagonally. Kaya po, mostly our failure comes diagonally. So that is an example of web buckling, no? Web buckling. That is your web buckling. So in order to avoid the buckling of the web, in order to avoid po yung as you can see earlier, in order to avoid this type of buckling, what we are doing is to provide stiffeners. So maybe you can see this. These are actually what we call the web stiffener. So we are actually providing a stiffeners that will act as support for your web. So it will act as support for your web. Because if you have web stiffener, you will have a small brace length. Naalala po yung brace length when it comes to buckling? Naalala po yung brace length? Last yep. So we are actually applying a web stiffener. So yung web stiffener po natin will actually avoid the buckling of your web. So those are web stiffeners. So again, the web is the main carrying part of shear. On the other hand naman po, if you are going to talk about flexure, sa flexure, ang main carrying is the flange. So ang nagke-carry ng flexure, flange, ang nagke-carry ng web, shear. So they're like pinagdugtong po sila, ano? So what are some NECP provision when it comes to shear? When it comes to shear, so first, according to our code for members with unstiffened or stiffened webs, what's the difference between unstiffened and stiffened? Unstiffened without stiffener, stiffened with stiffener. So yun lang po yung pagkakaiba nun, no? So for nominal shear strength, if we want to calculate for nominal shear strength, okay, so if we want to calculate for nominal shear strength, the nominal shear strength for unstiffened or stiffened webs can be taken as the following formula. So you have Vn Again, this is nominal, ano? This is nominal. We need to apply a safety factor and a reduction factor pa. So this is nominal shear strength. Nominal is actually taken as 0.6 of Fy, area of the web, CV. So this is area of the web. Area of the web multiplied by CV. CV is the shear factor. Or, yep, that will be the shear factor. So Fy, you know that, the yield strength of your steel member. So area of the web is calculated as D multiplied by thickness of the web. So for webs of rolled I-shaped members, with H over thickness of the web less than 2.24 of E over Fy, then your phi factor is 1.0 for LRFD and 1.5 for ASD. So your factor of safety will be 1.5 for allowable stress, 1.0 for LRFD. So as you can see, this failure is not that much critical. Kaya nga po yung reduction factor natin is 1.0, no? 1.0. And if your H over thickness of the web is less than 2.24 of square root of E over Fy, your CV is only taken as 1.0. So CV is taken as 1.0. However, according to the AISC, all current ASTM WSHP shape except the following given members meet the criteria stated in G2.1 for Fy equal to 345. So most of the time, your webs of rolled I-shaped member actually satisfy this criteria. This H over thickness of the web is less than or equal to 2.24 of square root of E over Fy. No? Most of the time, it will satisfy that criteria. So for allowable stress design for ASD, your V allowable shear strength is equal to 0.6 Fy A web CV over 1.5, right? Which will give you a factor of 0.6 over 1.5. That will be 0.4. Am I right? 0.4. Yep. So 0.4 Fy area of the web CV. So again, if I ask you in your quiz, what is the percentage of Fy? The allowable shearing strength is taken as what percentage of Fy? The answer is 40%, no? So ganun lang naman po yung tanong ko, no? So I think wala nang nagkamali nung second quiz. So the answer in that quiz is 60, ano? That if you encounter that question, 60 po yung naging sagot. So in this case, 40% kapag shearing. On the other hand, for LRFD, let's complete LRFD. Your ultimate VU is will be 1.0 multiplied, so that will be 0.6 Fy AW CW CV. Because your LRFD is 1.0. No? So on the other hand, so for provisions in this section, except 507.2.1, if it's not falling into this criteria, so if it's not falling into H over thickness of the web less than 2.24, then you need to go into this section. So in this section, your reduction factor will be 0.9 and your factor of safety will be 1.67. So for the nominal shear strength is actually the same. Your nominal shear strength is taken as 0.6 Fy area of the web CV, and your for webs of all the web plate backlink coefficient KV is determined as follows. But first, let's look into this one. For webs of all other doubly symmetric shape and singly symmetric shape and channels, except round HSS, the web shear coefficient is determined as follows. So if your H over thickness of the web is less than 1.1 kVe over Fy, then your CV is 1.0. How do you calculate for kV? You refer to this one. For unstiffened webs with H over thickness of the web less than 260, your kV is 5, except for the stem of T-shape where kV is 1.2. If your H over thickness of the if your H over thickness of the web is between 1.1 and 1.37, then your CV can be calculated as follows. Or if your H over thickness of the web is greater than 1.37 square root of kVe over Fy, then your CV is 1.51 EKV over H over thickness of the web squared multiplied by Fy. So that is your formulas that you need to follow. So again, ang kailangan nyo lang naman po this one, and yep, that's it. So that's how you calculate for CV. Any question about NCP provision? But most of the time, you will fall into this criteria. If you the webs of rolled I-shaped members, most of the time you are going to fall in this criteria. However, if your member is within these members, W44 by 230, 14 by 149, this one, then you need to refer to this. You need to refer to these provisions. Sir, bakit po ulit ano yun? Sir, bakit po ulit 1.5 yun nasa denominator of bakit po ulit 1.5 nasa denominator of AST? For 507.2.1, if you're going to satisfy this, if you're going to satisfy H over thickness of the web is less than or equal to 2.24, your factor of safety is 1, and your factor of safety is 1.5. Reduction factor is 1.0 and factor of safety is 1.5. That is for if you satisfy this equation. H over thickness of the web is less than or equal to 2.24 square root of E over Fy. Otherwise you will use 0.9 and 1.7. If hindi po nag-govern dito, then you will go to 0.9 and 1.67, and then you need to calculate for CB in terms of this formula. Otherwise, if it's not falling into this criteria, then you need to refer to this criteria. 0.9, magbabago po yung reduction nyo sa factor of safety. That will be 0.9 and 1.67. Are we clear? Okay. So usually we are falling into this one. Usually we are falling into webs for 1.0 and 1.5. So however, if not, refer to this table, no? Or to these formulas. Okay, so let's try to solve one problem. I think dalawa po ito. Okay. So a W21 by 55 with Fy equals to 50 KSI is used for a beam and load shown in the figure. Determine its design shear strength if beam has a dead load of 2 kips per feet, including self-weight. What is the maximum uniform live load that the beam can carry? So, okay, step 1 po tayo. Step 1. Verify shear yielding. So, verify if your H over thickness of the web is less than or equal to 2.24 of square root of E over Fy. So we are going to verify if we are going to fall into this criteria, the number 1, case 1. So substituting, we will be having, alam na po yung H, ano? H is actually equal to D minus 2K. So there's a difference between H and D, no? So kapag po H, you need to deduct the K factor. That is the same with your quiz. Sa quiz po, ang binigay ko D and nagbigay ako ng K. So you need to deduct the K, no? So D is 20.8 minus twice of 2K, 1.02, 1.02, divided by thickness of the web, 0.375. This should be less than or equal to 2.24 square root of, this is English unit, so 29,000 divided by Fy. Fy is 50. Can I have this, the first one? $50.03, no? This is less than or equal to the second number, 2.24 square root of 29,000 over 50. We have 53.95. 53.95. So with this, we can say that, okay, shear yielding governs. So we are going to consider shear yielding, and it means that your CV is equal to 1.0. So CV is 1.0. So anyway, this failure pala is what we call shear yielding, no? The first type is actually what we call shear yielding. The other ones, we are going to consider web crippling. This one is web crippling. Or local failure. So that means that for this case, what's governing, the governing failure is actually shear yielding. So CV is 1.0 and LRFD factor or reduction factor is also 1.0. So calculate VN po tayo, step 2. So VN is equal to 0.6 Fy area of the web, CV. 0.6 Fy is 50. Area of the web is D times thickness of the web, 20.8 multiplied by 0.375. CV is 1.0. What's our VN? We have 234 kips. Step 3. Calculate for the design shear strength. So that will be, since we are considering LRFD, ano? This is LRFD. As you can see, determine its design shear strength. So LRFD, that means LRFD. VU is equal to phi VN. And in this case, our phi is 1.0. VN is 234. So it means your ultimate shear strength or the design shear strength is 234 kips, right? So if you're going to calculate what is the maximum uniform load that it can carry, maximum uniform live load that it can carry, this is 20 feet. And it's already carrying 2 kips per feet of dead load. That is dead load, right? Dead load. And we need to calculate for live load. We need to add live load. And the question is, what is the maximum live load that you will add? So with that, we know that the shear diagram is actually this. And the maximum shear is at the support, which has a value or a formula of WL over 2, right? That is your maximum shear, max shear. So given the capacity that we calculate, 234, I will equate the maximum shear, Vmax, is equal to Vu that we calculated. So Vmax is WU L over 2 equal to 234. That will be equal to WU. L is 20 feet divided by 2 is equal to 234. I can now calculate for ultimate uniform load. What's this one? 23.4. This is kips per feet. This is your factored uniform load. Take note, this is factored kasi this is LRFD. Factored uniform load. So if you want to calculate for the live load only, we know that WU is equal to 1.2 dead load plus 1.6 live load. So WU is equal, or the uniform factored load is equal to 23.4 is equal to 1.2. We have the dead load, 2 kips per feet, plus 1.6 of live load. So how much live load it can carry? How much live load? 13.125 kips per feet. So this is your live load. Any question about this problem? Sir, paano po pag may beam weight po? Edi, what you need to do is to add the beam weight here. Kasi dito, in this problem, the 2 kips per feet includes the self weight. Kasama na si self weight. But if you have, that is a good question, Daniel, no? So, what if may beam weight nga naman? So, if you have a beam weight, then you just need to add yung, for example, yung 2 mo without, ano yun, gawin mo lang 2 plus self weight. I-add mo lang dun sa dead load si self weight. No? So, and then calculate for live load. This is actually what I'm asking in your, in your quiz. So, dun sa quiz nyo, nagbigay ako ng self weight, tama? Nagbigay ako ng self weight, nagbigay ako ng superimposed dead load. What you need to find is live load. So, ang kakahanapin nyo, unfactored live load. No? So, this one is the unfactored live load. So, this is the process. Ganito lang po yung gagawin nyo doon. Yeah, but that is one advantage of using steel. We have a very small weight of the steel. That is why, kaya nga po natin ginagamit si steel kasi nga, we have a very small weight. So, almost 14 Newton lang, no? Newton lang po. Actually, even if you neglect the weight of the beam, parang wala rin siya. No? Even if you neglect the weight of the beam. So anyway, but the correct solution will be to use the weight, to add the weight. No? The correct solution is to consider the weight. Always consider the weight. Okay, any more other question? That is another good question. Ano? Sir, if we use VA po instead of PU, hindi na po namin gagamitin yung 1.2 dead load and 1.6 live load. Yes, that is correct. Again, if you are going to use the allowable, if we're talking about the allowable, kapag allowable po kasi allowable stress design, you don't need to factor the load. Allowable stress design will just be, once you calculate the allowable uniform load, that is just dead load plus live load. So that is correct. Kapag po ASD, for ASD, no factored load. For allowable stress design, no factored load. For LRFD, you need to factor the load. No? That is the difference between ASD and LRFD. Okay. For allowable stress, you just need to add dead load plus live load directly. Just add the loads directly. Okay, so this one is another example, a W12 by, I think this is the last example for shear. A W12 by 16 with FY345 is used for beam and the load shown in the figure below. Determine its design shear strength. If the beam has a dead load of 10 kilonewton per meter, including self-weight, what's the maximum uniform live load that the beam can carry? So step 1, verify if shear yielding. So check for H over thickness of the web. Should be less than or equal to 2.24 square root of E over Fy. So H over thickness of the web, that will be 302.51 minus 2 of 17.46 divided by thickness of the web, 5.08, should be less than or equal to 2.24 of square root of 200,000, since this is metric units, divided by Fy345. What's the first value? This one? This is 52.68. Should be less than or equal to another one. This is 53.93. Lahat po ba kayo nag-quiz na ng quiz 3? Quiz 3. Okay, so I will post po pala yung nakalimutan ko, no? Kaya I will post quiz number 2 answer key and quiz number 3, ano? You still don't have the quiz number 2 answer key pala. So I will post quiz number 2 and quiz number 3. So maybe later tonight, no? Okay, so this one, 52.68 is less than or equal to 53.93. So that means shear yielding governs. If shear yielding governs, your CV is 1.0. CV is 1.0. So calculate the nominal capacity. Vn is equal to 0.6 Fy, area of the web, CV. So 0.6 of 345, area of the web is 302.51, multiplied by thickness of the web, 5.08, multiplied by 1.0. What's our Vn? Divided by 1,000 to make it kilonewton. $318.11. 318.11. Then calculating the uniform live load that it can carry. So LRFD po ulit tayo, LRFD because design shear strength. So PVN is equal to 1.0 multiplied by 318.11. So that will be 318.11 kilonewton. Then calculating for the uniform factored uniform load, PBN is equal to VU is equal to WL squared over 8 over WL over 2. I'm sorry, WL over 2. So we have VU 318.11 is equal to the factored uniform load multiplied by the length of the beam, which is 8, divided by 2, calculating for the factored load. We have 79.53 kilonewton per meter. Then calculating for uniform load, that is 1.2 dead load plus 1.6 lev load. So we have 79.53 is equal to 1.2. We have the dead load, 10 kilonewton, including the beam weight, plus 1.6 of live load. Calculating for live load, we have 42.21. 42.21. Again, if your h over thickness of the web does not satisfy this first one, if it's not satisfied this one, you refer to this equation. So you refer to this equation, and your phi factor will be 0.9 with a safety factor of 1.67. So if other than this, if it does not satisfy this equation, no. Okay, so next topic will be block shear for cope beams. As I explained, most of the time when we are connecting secondary beams into the main girder, I hope I'm clear with my terms. Ano? When I say main girders, there's are beams that are connected to the column. Those are girders. When we say beams or secondary beams, these are beams that are connected to another beam. No? So let's draw that one. So let's say, for example, you have a column. Let's say you have a column, I column, and then you're going to connect the two. Then you connect, this is I column, connect. The beams that are connecting the columns, these are called girders, no? These are called girders. On the other hand, we are also providing secondary beam. These are called secondary beam or beams in general, beams. Secondary beams. So we have the girder, we have the secondary beam, and the connection of the secondary beam to the primary girder, this is your primary girder. This connection right here is actually a pin connection. When we say pin connection, it means that only shear will transfer. Pin connection does not have a capacity to transfer moment. Pagka sinabi naman nating fixed connection, when we say fixed connection, that is the connection that is able to transfer moment. Are we clear? That is pin connection, no? So if you are going to design a secondary beam, usually for even in, for example, parking lot or small buildings, the beam, the secondary beams are pin-pin connection. It means this beam is actually simply supported. Why is it simply supported? Because your moment at the ends is actually zero. So if you in the future, if you're going to perform an ETABS modeling, for example, in your capstone, if you're going to go into your capstone, you need to release your beam in these points because for secondary beam, these are pin connection. You are only transferring the shear. So kapag po pin connection, the connection is like this one. You're only connecting web to web. You are not connecting the flanges. So that's the difference between a moment connection and the shear connection. Shear connection, you only connect the web. Moment connection, you are both connecting the web and the flange. Okay, so next, at beam girder joints where the surface of the top flanges are flush, it means flush same elevation. So your secondary beam is actually flush with the top flange of the main girder. The connecting beam needs to be coped. Ito po yung tinatawag natin na coping. So block shear failure is a possibility in the joint connection. It means that if you are going to cope the beam, you will fail. You will mostly fail in block shear. Your member is critical for block shear. So let's recall block shear. Recall po natin yung pinag-aralan natin from module number 2. Module number 2. So 0.6 FU A and B. So block shear is actually composed of, this is shearing, right? It is shearing, and this is actually for tearing. Block shear. We have the shearing and the tearing, and this is your upper limit. Upper limit. And as we learned in module number 2, our phi factor for LRFD is, or our reduction factor for LRFD is 0.75, and our factor of safety for allowable stress design is 2.0. And UBS, where tension stress is uniform, your UBS is 1. If you have a single row of bolts, your UBS is equal to 1.0. Otherwise, if you have a multiple row end connection, your UBS is equal to 0.5. UBS is 0.5. So we are familiar on how to calculate the tension area and the shear area. So we are going to use that again. So let's try to solve one problem. Determine the maximum allowable reaction based on the block shear that can be resisted by the beam shown. What is the maximum point load that can be applied at the midspan of an 8-meter beam considering ASD? Web thickness is 0.3 inches. So again, this is block shear failure considering cope beam. This is cope beam. So step 1, calculate the areas. Let's calculate the area. So first is the shearing, A and B. So your load will be transferred in this direction. So if that is your load, this is your shearing. That is your shearing. This is your shearing part, and this is your tearing part. No, shearing and tearing. So this is your shear, under shear, and this is your tension. That will be your block shear. That is your block shear. So we are using A992 steel. So we're going to use Fy is 65 KSI. 50 KSI, sorry. Fy will be 50 KSI. And Fu is equal to 65 KSI. 50, 65. And we are going to consider that the bolt hole is 1/8 inches larger. No? So according, bolt hole is 1/8 inches larger. So we're going to consider that bolt hole. So step 1, consider the A and V. A and V will be 2 plus 2 plus 3 at 3 inches. So that will be 3 multiplied by 3 minus the bolt hole. Minus, how many bolt hole po yung nadaanan? We have 3.5. So you are now familiar with this one, 3.5. And that will be 3/4 inches diameter of the bolt. So that is 3/4 plus 1/8. So multiply by the thickness of the web. Thickness of the web is 0.3. So our A and V is equal to, what is A and V? Area under shear. Two point three eight one two five inches squared. Okay. And then we need to solve for A and T. Area in tension. That will be 1 and 1/4. 1 and 1/4, I will just write it as 1.25. 1 and 1/4 is 1.25 inches. Minus how many bolt hole will be in tension? 0.5, right? 0.5 of 3/4 plus 1/8 multiply by the thickness of the web, that is 0.3. So A and T is equal to 0.24. 0.24 inches squared. No? 0.24 inches squared. And then let's also calculate AGV. This will be uh, for the upper limit. This is for upper limit. So AGV, area gross in shear, that is 2 plus 3 multiplied by 3. So I'll just remove the reduction due to bolt hole, multiplied by 0.3. AGV is equal to 3.3. So 3.3 inches squared. So now that we already have the areas, we can now calculate for PN. Our PN is given us, or our RN is given as 0.6 UBS FUANT. So that formula. So RN. Our nominal strength is given as 0.6 FU ANV plus UBS FU ANT. Okay? UBS FU ANT, and it should be so later na po natin compute yung upper limit. Ano? So 0.6 less multiply by FU. Again, FY is 50 KSI and FU is 65. So 65 multiplied by A and B. A and B is 2.38125 plus, what is UBS? What do you think is UBS? UBS is, what is the value of UBS? 1? Yep, that is correct. This is 1.0, one column, one bolt column only. Otherwise, if not, then use 0.5. No? So multiply by 1, FU is 65, multiplied by A and T, which is 0.24. So what's our nominal strength? We have 108.47 pips. And then upper limit that will be 0.6 of FY. Okay, let me write 0.6 of FY AGV plus UBS FU ANT. 0.6 of 50 AGV is 3.3 plus 1 FU is 65 multiplied by 0.24. So what's our upper limit? We have 114.6. So our RN is actually less than 114.6. So this is Okay. Okay. So our allowable, so determine the maximum allowable reaction. So our allowable strength, P allowable strength is equal to P allowable is equal to Rn divided by factor of safety. We're going to use ASD. So we have Rn is 108.47 divided by the factor of safety 2.0. So how much is that one? 54.235 kips. So this is your maximum reaction, your maximum reaction that can be carried, or the maximum force that can be carried in your considering block shear strength. That is your maximum capacity. So PA po 54.235. But the question is, what is the maximum point load that can be applied at the midspan? So if we're going to draw the beam, what we are asked is we are going to apply the point load P. And with that, we are going to have a reaction of P over 2, right? Because of your applied force P, you have a reaction of P over 2, left and right. And your maximum capacity here, your maximum capacity is equal to 54.235. So in order to solve for P, you need to solve for P. So max reaction is equal to P over 2. We need to equate that to the capacity, which is actually equal to 54.235. So if we want to solve for the maximum P, what is the value? Multiply by 2, that is equal to 108.47. So the answer is 108.47. Again, you need to read the problem. Read the problem. The question being asked is, what is the maximum point load that can be applied at the midspan of an 8-meter considering allowable stress design? So since your maximum capacity is 54.235, equate that to the reaction. Ang maximum reaction mo, P over 2. So solving for P, you can solve for 108.47. Are we clear with this problem? Kung bakit po siya bumalik sa 108.47? Okay, in this case, we are using allowable stress design. We don't apply any load factor. So allowable stress, don't apply any load factor. Okay, so next topic is deflection. So after reviewing block shear, we are going to go to deflection. So aside from ensuring safety by determining the design strength, what we've been doing so far is that we are ensuring that our beam will not fail. It will not fail in terms of flexure. It will not fail in terms of shear. So what we've been doing so far is we are ensuring that our beam is ultimate is okay in the ultimate state. When we say ultimate state, it will not break, it will not fail, no? It will not fail. But however, we must ensure that our design is also serviceable. That is called serviceability design. So in order to make sure that your design is serviceable, you need to limit your deflection. Actually, deflection is not critical. So as a structural engineer, kapag po nakakita ka ng deflection, hindi ka agad nagpapanik. Magpapanik ka kung nakakita ka ng crack, kung nakakita ka ng yielding, kung nakakita ka ng failure. But when it comes to large deflection, mostly if you are an engineer, if you have a knowledge regarding the behavior of structure, deflection is will not actually result into failure. Hindi po siya magre-result. Large deflection will not actually result into the failure of the member. However, kaya nga po tinatawag tong serviceability design kasi kapag when other people see the deflection, when it comes to other people, when it comes to the occupants, living your design or living in a building, kapag nakita sila ng malaking deflection, usually nagpapanik sila. So without the knowledge of the behavior of the beams, it will cause panic, no? So that is why we need to limit the deflection. But basically, huli po itong chine-check usually. Yung deflection, huli na itong chine-check because yun nga po, this is for serviceability design. But again, for a good design, you still need to check deflection. So excessive deflection may damage other materials attached to or support by the beam in question. So if you are going to have a ceiling or you are going to attach different material in the ceiling and your beam actually deflect ng malaki, it will affect yung mga naka-attach dun sa ceiling mo. Especially if yung naka-attach po sa ceiling mo is, let's say, HardFlex, if you're going to use cement board. So usually ang nangyayari po din, maghihiwalay yung pagitan ng cement board. So kapag nagkakaroon ka ng malaking deflection. So as I've said, appearance po ng structure, it will cause panic. So extreme deflection do not inspire confidence in the person using a structure. So even if you explain to them na ma'am, sir, hindi po yan talaga critical. Kahit po malaki yung deflection, it is not critical. But in the eye of the occupant, they are not confident kapag po nakita sila ng malaking deflection. So that is why it may be necessary for several different beams supporting the same loads to deflect equal amount. So you need to check for deflection po. We need to check for deflection. So how do we check for deflection? We need to go back to theory of structures. So I hope you still remember your theory of structures, no? Theory po tayo, theory. So in calculation of the deflection. So let me recall some of the simple formulas. These are simple formulas for deflection. For cantilever beam, your maximum deflection is PL cube over 3. For simply supported, this is cantilever, no? Cantilever. This is a review ng theory of structure. For simply supported, you have PL cube over 48 EI. So PL cube over 48 EI. For fixed-ended beam, you have PL cube over 192. If you have a uniform cantilever beam, you have a WL to the 4th over 8. If you have a simply supported with the uniform load, this is very useful. This formula is very useful. 5 WL to the 4th over 384 EI. And then for fixed-ended beam, you just remove 5 WL to the 4th over 384 EI. So this is a review of your theory of structures. Naalala po ba yung mga formula na to? Can you still remember these formulas? Can you still remember these formulas? So if you don't remember that, you can use you can use conjugate beam method. Naalala po ba yan? You can use double integration, conjugate beam. You can use area moment method. You can use other methods actually. If you can, but it will take longer time, no? It will take longer time. So usually naman kapag nagde-design po tayo, meron tayo uniform load. So ang pinaka-importante nga po dito is 5WL to the 4th over 384 EI. This is the most common one. So but you can always go back to your theory of structure, no? So theory of structure is area moment method, three moment equation, those methods, no? So let's talk about the limitation for deflection. So the deflection limitations fall into what we call sa serviceability design. So when we say serviceability, I explained, serviceable po ba yung dinedesign mo? Serviceable. So uh, are we clear with the deflection limits? Parang ganun. So we need to make sure that our deflection is less than the allowable deflection. So regardless of ASD or LRFD, so take note, this is very important. Regardless if you are using ASD or LRFD, for deflection calculation, you are going to use unfactored load for deflection calculation. So we are not using factored loads in deflection, always unfactored. For deflection calculation, we are always using unfactored loads, no? Unfactored. That is very important, no? So if you are going to check for deflection, always use unfactored loads. Next one is these are the type of members and the limitation according to our code. So for roof beam, if you are going to take the maximum live load deflection, when we say maximum live load, this is live load only. When we say live load only, that is the deflection due to live load. For this one, this is the deflection due to live load plus dead load. So there's a different requirement for live load only. If you're going to get the live load only deflection, for roof beam supporting plaster ceiling, that is L over 360. As I've explained, important po kasi yan sa roof beam because if you have a large deflection supporting your ceiling, it will cause crack in your ceiling. Magkahiwa-hiwalay yung ceiling materials mo. So, yun nga. Usually, if you're going to use, let's say, for ceiling material, gumamit ka plywood. If you use plywood and then you have a large deflection, the connection of the plywood, you will have a large, maghihiwalay po yung mga plywood mo, no? Kapag sa ceiling. So, it will destroy your ceiling materials. So, non-plaster ceiling, L2 over 240. Not supporting a ceiling, L over 180. For roof beam, this is for roof beam. For dead load plus live load, you need to consider L over 240, L over 180, and L over 120. This is very important for floor beam. For floor beam, our limitation for live load is L over 360. L over 360. For live load plus dead load, that is L over 240. L over 240 for live load plus dead load. Are we clear with this one? Okay. So let's calculate. A 21 feet beam span was designed for a structure using W24 by 55 section. You have the I of 1350. The beam support a service live load of 3 kips per feet. Is the maximum deflection at the midspan of the beam satisfactory? What is the highest uniform live load that the beam carried? That the beam can be carried. That can be carried by the beam. That can be carried by the beam. Okay. So first of all, we have a uniform beam. We have a simply supported beam with a uniform load. And this is 21 feet. This is 21 feet. And the live load is equal to 3 kips per feet. 3 kips per feet. So first one, we need to determine if it is satisfactory carrying 3 kips per feet. So we need to get the deflection due to live load. Deflection due to live load, this is simply supported. So the formula is 5WL to the fourth over 384 EI. No? So calculating for the deflection, you have 5. Uniform load due to live load is 3. Again, for calculating the deflection, you need to use unfactored load. Unfactored load. So multiply by the length of the beam span, 21 feet, WL to the fourth. But take note, this is in feet. So this is Kip's feet. Let me change the color. No. So this is Kip's feet. This is feet raised to the fourth. So we need to have a conversion factor. Converting it to inches, multiply it by, cancel po yung isang feet, so that will be 12 cube. Conversion factor. Conversion factor. From feet to inches. Feet to inches. 5WL to the fourth over 384. E of steel when it comes to English units. Kapag po English units, our E of steel is 29,000 ASI. Multiply by I, 1,350. So what is our deflection? So 0.3353. What's our limit? What's our limit? Limit for live load deflection, floor beam, L over 360. So what's our limit? That will be 21 feet multiplying, converting into inches. So what's our limit? This is 0.7. 0.7 inches. Okay. 0.7 inches. So comparing our maximum live load to the limit, so 0.3353 is actually less than 0.7 inches. So what can we say? Does it satisfy the deflection at midspan? Yes. So okay. So satisfy deflection requirement. So deflection due to live load is equal to next question. Next question. What is the maximum uniform live load that can be carried by the beam? So we are going to calculate the highest uniform live load. Highest uniform live load. So in order to calculate that, we're going to equate the live load into its limit. The deflection, we're going to use the limit po, no? So deflection due to live load is equal to limit, which is equal to 0.7. We're going to use the limit of 0.7 inches, and that is equal to 5 W. L is 21 raised to the fourth. We're going to calculate the highest uniform live load. 12 cube divided by 384, 29,000 divided by 1,350. So what's our uniform live load, max? 6.26 kips per feet, no? Kips per feet. Okay. So let's try to solve this problem. 6-meter beam with IX 301 times 10 raised. But before we jump into another question, another problem, is this example okay? Do we have any question po about this example? Okay. So jumping into the next example, a 6-meter beam with IX of 301 times 10 raised to 6 is subjected to a total uniform load of 60 kilonewton per meter. So we have a total unfactored load of 60. Determine if the deflection in the beam is satisfactory. What is the highest total uniform load that it can carry? So first, number one, deflection due to dead load plus live load. That is equal to 5 WL to the fourth over 384 EI. So 5 WL to the fourth over 384 EI. So you have a uniform load of 60. This is total. Ibig sabihin po ng total, dead load plus live load. So 60, length is 6 meter to the fourth. Convert meter into millimeters, multiply by 1,000 to the fourth. This is conversion factor. Divided by 384. E is 200,000. I is 301 times 10 raised to 6. What is our deflection? Hindi po to raised to 3. This is raised to 4, no? Raised to 4 po ito. 5 WL to the fourth. This will be raised to 4. 16.82 millimeters. 16.82 millimeters. Why is it raised to the fourth? Because this is actually kilonewton per meter. So kung kilonewton per meter, that is also equal to newton per mm, no? Kilonewton per meter is equivalent to newton per mm. So you don't need to, ang kailangan mo na lang pong i-convert is yung 6. Apat na 1,000. Kaya po 1,000 raised to 4. No? Kilonewton per meter is equivalent to newton mm. Kaya po siya 1,000 raised to the 4th. Then calculating for limit total deflection, live load and dead load, that is L over 240. So limit is L over 240 is equal to 6,000 divided by 240. What's our limit? 25 mm. Then calculating for the maximum. This is less than 25. So what can we say? Okay, safe. No? Okay. So next question, determine the maximum uniform load that it can carry. So we're going to equate dead load plus live load is equal to deflection limit is equal to 25, 5 total, WL to the fourth, over 384 EI, 301 times 10 raised to 6. So let's calculate for WT. Total uniform load. How about the others po? I'm only saying Hanelin answering me, ano? How about the others? We have 89.19 kilonewton per meter. So this is your total, maximum total uniform load that we can carry. So WT is 89.19. Okay, so next one is cam bearing. So actually, curvature applied to a beam in the opposite direction of the deflection to limit sagging when subjected to gravity loads. We have a solution for deflection. Even though, for example, you have a very long span and upon computing, you will have a very large deflection. So there's still a solution. The solution is actually what we call cam bearing. So cam bearing is actually it is actually giving an upward deflection. Ibig sabihin po ng cam bearing, binibigyan mo yung beam mo ng upward deflection. You are pushing your beam upward such that when it's on the site, when it's actually applied with the gravity load, it will go down and it will have a lower deflection. So if you are studying pre-stress concrete, it's the same as that one. It's the same as that one. So what we are doing is in the factory where we are actually creating a cambered beam. So this is actually at the factory. So cambering is this one, camber. So at the factory, nakaangat po yan, nakaangat siya. Such that if you're going to put it in the site, so if you're going to put it in the site, you will have a straight beam. Because you have a positive deflection in the factory. When it comes to the site, it will go down. So you will have a straight beam. So yun po yung tinatawag natin na cambering. And this is a solution for deflection. This is our solution for deflection. So as you can see in this figure, usually po kapag concrete ang ginagawa natin, pre-stressing. Sa pre-stressing, nagkakaroon siya ng upward deflection. But in steel, what we are doing is to camber. In the factory, nilalagyan na po natin siya ng upward deflection. So this is what happened in the factory. So as you can see, the beam is actually curved upward. It is curved upward such that kapag nilagay nyo po sa site, nilagay nyo na yung load, it will have a straight deflection. So ang tawag po doon, cambering. So usually in steel beam, we have a camber. We have a camber po. And the camber is actually being designed by the engineer. Yung engineer mismo yung nagsasabi na, I want to have a camber of, let's say, 10 mm or 15 mm. You can request it in the factory. No? So as you can see in these two comparison, this is the result in deflection in floor under dead load. So if you are going to remove the deflection due to dead load, you are going to remove the deflection due to dead load, because of the cambering, you will have a lower deflection. So due to cambering, you can remove the deflection due to dead load. So again, the principle of cambering is adding an upward deflection such that when you put it in the sight, you will have a lower deflection. Kasi nga naka-curve upward na yung beam mo. Is that clear? Cambering. It's the same as the one that you are going to use in, it's the same as pre-stressing, but this is for steel. For steel, the term is called cambering.